Okay, so for graphic products, there are certain equipment or certain tools that you will require and you should keep. I will show you some of them in terms of the ones I have, along with some that you should try and get. So of course, you will need a protractor to go forward. If you have a good geometry box, that's great. For me, I don't have a geometry box, but I do have the tools that I require. So I have a compass. The advantage of this compass, as you can see, is that the nib is not just one point. It has a very fine tip to it. So this allows me to be able to fix it and lock it on any surface. It just stays there. There is enough grip, if you can call it, but it allows me to use this on paper which is kept on any surface. It does not tear through the paper. It locks onto the paper, and it ensures that the size of the hole also does not become bigger. So a good compass set is something that you should have. Of course, the disadvantage of this is that because it has a threaded ring in the middle, it will only open somewhere till there, and beyond that it won't. So for that purpose, of course, you may need to get a compass set which probably does not have that. However, you also need to keep in mind that if you don't have that, then when you're holding onto the compass, make sure that the compass is not held from here, rather held from the tip. Because if I hold it from here and then I turn it, and if there's nothing locking these two arms, then when I apply pressure over here, this will change. So we don't want the radius to change, and therefore it's better if you hold the compass from here. So compass is something that is important to have. Protractor is definitely something that is important to have. You can have the individual protractor, that's also fine. I have mine within a set square. Makes my life easier, as I don't have to carry both and I can carry just one. You will need a steel scale, so something that is 30 centimeters long, and preferably a steel edge. The advantage of a steel edge is that if I put a cutter to it and if I decide to cut a line, then it does not destroy the edge. However, in this case, if I do it and if I run the blade along this line, it is possible that it may peel off a little bit of the plastic, which means that edge will never be straight. So it's always a good idea to have a steel edge. Another thing to keep in mind in a steel edge is that when you buy it, make sure you put it on a glass surface like this to see that it is on a straight edge rather than having a bend. If it does have a bend, make sure that you don't buy it, but you ask for an exchange. Along with this, you will of course need pencils. So if you look at this pencil, for example, this is an F. Yeah, there. So it is an F. However, if you're using, let's say, a 2B, which is black and number 2, it's a better pencil to use. So I'll show you what I mean when I say it'll be better. So let's say, for example, I have a piece of paper. I have multiple pencils here and they are all of a different level. So for example, if you look at this, it says 8B on it, which means with a light hand also I can get a dark line, and with a heavy hand I can get a dark line or a darker line. If you look at all of them, so this is an HB, for example, this also gives me a line. However, if you look at the two carefully, you can notice that this one is not as dark as that one. So each pencil here, it starts from an it starts from a 2H, goes on to an H, F, HB, B, 2B, 3B, 4B, 5B, 6B, 7B, and 8B. The best option, however, is to have a 2B, because this will give you a good darkness as well as a light line. And the advantage is that because it's not too soft, so the higher you go in black, the softer the graphite is. So here it's not too soft, but it will still give me a dark line. So that means that if I use a scale to give you a construction line, or if I choose to give you a darker line, I can match both. It gives you a clean finish as well, so the graphite does not really break as it goes, and it will give you a clean finish. As well as if I had a box that I needed to shade, I could use this color pen or this pencil to give you a clean shaded area as well. And if your base does not have anything that leaves an impression, so for example here what is happening is that there is some material stuck to my cutting mat. As a result, you are ending up seeing that line forming. However, if that is not there, you can get a very clean stroke while you are shading as well. So having a 2B pencil is definitely a good idea. Sometimes it is also better that rather than you having a 2B pencil like this, you get a mechanical pencil, and within the mechanical pencil, this lead that you have, you make sure that that lead is a 2B lead. So you can get these also of different sizes. You just have to get the right one in terms of the amount of pressure that you will be applying to it, and use that over here.